I am Dr. Flo. It is so awesome meeting you. There's a little blurb here that I'm supposed to read to all of you that I didn't pull up in advance. So I'm going to grab it right now and read it to you as I stay in my power as well. Once again, happy Tuesday, Sacral Chakra Day. It's good to see you and to be with you all around the world. I want to let you know that I am Dr. Flo. I'm the founder of Love in Action Network. What I do is help creatives, performers, and purpose-driven leaders move from feeling stuck and unseen in their lives into clarity, visibility, sustainable income. And most people don't lack talent. They lack structure, support, and a clear pathway forward. And that's where I come in. Through our ecosystem, we offer spaces like People Pleasers Anonymous Live and Spotlight in Action. These are all spaces where you can practice being seen and refine your voice, along with deeper programs within our network that provide accountability, coaching, and real opportunities to grow your craft and your career. If you're someone who knows you're called to more, if you know that you are called to more, but you need clarity, community, or direction to get you there, I would love to connect with you. You can go to lovedandlovable.org, or you can email me at askdrflo@gmail.com, askdrflo@gmail.com. I do not chase people as it relates to their dreams. Tap in if you're willing to grow, and I'm here to build with people who are ready to move, okay? So tonight is week 2 of People Pleasers Anonymous Live. Last week, we talked about what people pleasing was actually, and where that comes from. Last week was what is people pleasing really? That's available over on our Substack, our YouTube, our Spotify, our Apple Podcasts, our Google Podcasts. People are listening to that all over the world. I've seen the map. And that was last week. What is people pleasing really? And today we're going to be talking around the cost of being the strong one. Put a 1 in the chat if you've ever had to be the strong one. Do y'all know what I'm talking about when I say being the strong one? Whether it's being the strong one in your family, the strong one in your friend group, the person that's always reliable within the network. Tara has resonance, Lisa has resonance, Ben has resonance with being the strong one. And tonight's pinned question that we're going to be contemplating for the next, hopefully it's 45 minutes. I don't want to go over tonight, but we'll see what happens. Love in Action Network is open from noon to 8 p.m. Eastern daily. And so this is my last meeting of the day. This is my last meeting. Do I have my sound effects tonight? Yes, it's my last meeting of the day. So when this is done, I get to clock out of Love in Action Network for the day, which I'm excited about. But today's pinned question is, have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? Have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? And we're going to talk about that together. Once again, welcome everybody to People Pleasers Anonymous. This is a space for healing, self-awareness, recovery, and growth. This is not therapy. I'm not a licensed therapist. Dr. Flo is my stage name. Tell everybody that. Dr. Flo is my stage name. I'm not a licensed therapist. I'm a peer support counselor and spiritual guide and shaman in the earth. We're not in therapy tonight, but this is a space where we can have honest conversations about the patterns that keep us exhausted, invisible, and disconnected from ourselves. And tonight we're talking about something that many people carry quietly. It's the cost of being the strong one. Once again, our pinned question is right up above. Have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? Tonight, we're going to have no judgment, no shame, just honesty. Once again, no judgment, no shame, just honesty. If you're willing, all right, if you're willing to answer the question, have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? Drop a yes, no, or sometimes in the chat. Ben is saying, oh yeah. E is saying, I feel like I have felt the weight of it, but I don't feel like I've ever resented. Drop a yes, no, or sometimes in the chat as it relates to the question. Lisa says, yep. Tara says yes for sure. Becca Loy, who's new here, says, I can't keep secrets. My face card sucks. Yeah, me too. That used to give me a lot of arguments, or would produce a lot of arguments with my second husband, Poppy, that some of you all know, because he'd be talking to me about something. He's like, why are you making faces? And I'm like, am I making faces? But I wear my emotions and how I feel about a situation on my face. And yeah, I'm horrible with keeping secrets too. Like, what would I need to keep a secret for? I have nothing to protect, prove, hide, or defend to any of you on the planet. And I'm not talking about just you all in the room. I have nothing to prove, protect, hide, or defend from anyone. Y'all poop like I do, and it smells awful just like mine. So why would I be keeping secrets from you all? And it's so funny online, Becca Loy, to watch people play the gotcha game with me as Dr. Flo. And they do it all the time. This morning it happened on TikTok. They were trying to play the gotcha game. And I'm like, you can't play gotcha with Dr. Flo because, once again, I have nothing to prove, nothing to protect, nothing to hide, and nothing to defend. Say it with me, everybody. I have nothing to prove. I have nothing to protect. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to defend. And living from the place of having nothing to prove, protect, hide, or defend, especially on TikTok and also in real talk out there at the grocery store, at the civic center, at the post office, that's a freeing energy that I have. Not having to prove my worthiness, not having to protect my emotional self, not having to hide who I really am from the world. Happy Pride, by the way, folks. Happy Pride. We're not hiding. Happy Pride. And nothing to defend, trying to defend my position or the fact that I belong or that I am worthy of taking up space. I'm not doing that with y'all. Happy Pride. Nikki. Nesgul says, yeah, I have. Why am I supposed to carry? You must be answering the prompt. Have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you too much? Yes, you have. Then you're asking out loud, why am I supposed to carry your dreams and goals? If it doesn't bring you joy to carry other people's dreams and goals, you shouldn't do it. I love helping people with their dreams and goals, and part of People Pleasers Anonymous, I'm so grateful that you said this, Nazgul, because one of the key functions of People Pleasers Anonymous, and that's why we gather on Tuesday night on TikTok, one of the key functions of People Pleasers Anonymous is recognizing what is yours to carry and what's not yours to carry. That is so important. You can't carry everything and you can't carry everybody. So knowing what's yours to carry and knowing what's not yours to carry is a freeing thing to contemplate. And I'm always looking at life through this prism. People will always say things to me in the TikTok chat, or they'll text me, or they'll email me, or they will trauma dump on me. They'll tell me about what their first boyfriend in high school did to them and how it's made them sad for the last 20 years. Internally, I'm always auditing if it's something that I need to carry or if it's not mine to carry. Some of you will say things in the chat tonight, and I'll be actively making the decision whether or not I want to carry it. Okay? So why am I supposed to carry the dreams and goals of others? Nazgul was asking. Maybe it's not yours to carry. There's a freedom in that. Okay, first question of this session here in this section here is, who is usually the strong one in your family? I'd be very curious to know. Who's usually the strong one in your family? Oh, yes, Nazgul. Hang with Doctor. Follow Rafiki. He'll show you the way. Follow Rafiki. He'll show you the way. I've been running People Pleasers Anonymous on TikTok for the last few months, and it has changed my life. Tara says, typically me. 5 Nikki says, me. You're usually the strong one in the family. We'll stay here for about 37 seconds more. Who's usually the strong one in your family, folks? Knowing what is yours to carry and what's not yours to carry is a freeing thing. People will always show up in your life asking you to take on something that's theirs. You don't have to. You don't have to. And you don't have to feel guilty about it. And some of them will make you, Dr. Flo, you're a spiritual leader. Dr. Flo, you're the encouragement guy. Dr. Flo, you said you were going to help me. Yeah, I am. I'm going to help you. I'm not going to carry it for you. He says, I feel like in a relationship, people bring different sorts of strengths to it. I understand that. All right. Next question to ask to get us started tonight is, who do people call when there's a crisis? Who do people call when there's a crisis? Is that you too? Nikki says, me usually, especially if it involves money. E says, I call on a higher power. Who in your family or friend group is everybody's therapist? Who is everybody's therapist? I end up being the therapist type for people online and in real life, even though I'm not licensed to practice. E says that would be myself. Jimmy Jam says praying goes a long way. Drop a 1 in the chat if you are someone or a bunch of people's emergency contacts. Oh, Nikki says her mom's a pastor. How does that feel? My dad was a preacher. My dad was a Baptist preacher. A PK in the house. All right, last one. I'll put a 2 in the chat if you get the can I ask you a favor text. Put a 2 in the chat if you get the can I ask you a favor text. Put a 2 in the chat if you get the can I ask you a favor? Tara says she gets those. Nikki gets those. Ben gets those. Okay. Let's see tonight who's carrying the emotional furniture for everybody else. All right. So Ben's carrying some emotional furniture. Jimmy Jams is. Nikki is. Tara is. Y'all know I am. Y'all know I am. Let's talk about what does being the strong one actually mean. The strong one is often the person who solves everyone's problem. They stay calm during chaos. They give advice. They handle emergencies. They often suppress their own needs. They rarely ask for help. And they keep functioning even when they're overwhelmed. I'm going to read that list one more time because there may be some functioning people pleasers in the space tonight, or people listening back on the podcast version of this. You could be the strong one if you are a person who solves everyone's problems. You stay calm during chaos. You give advice. You handle emergencies. You may be suppressing your own needs. You rarely ask for help. And you keep functioning even when you're overwhelmed. Binman says, I got a message from an old friend asking for money a few days ago. How old was the friend and when did he talk to you the last time? I love those situations. I used to have a cousin, I hope he's still alive. I had a cousin that every time he would go to jail, he would text me from inside for money. Then when he got out, he never needed me, but only when he was in jail. She says, can you stop telling my life on social media? We talk about universal things in Love and Action Network. Universal themes. I'm not pointing to anyone. I would not even know that we were talking about you if you did not say, ouch. Like, did someone just hear that person say, ouch? Oh, it's she. I would never have known it was you if you didn't tell me. People will often admire people for solving everyone's problem or giving advice or rarely asking for help. People will even admire you for suppressing your own needs. But often nobody asks how they're actually doing. Put a 1 in the chat if you are a person who asks other people how they're doing and they don't ask you. I've lost a lot of friends recently by not asking them back or asking them first. If you don't ask me how I'm doing on TikTok or in real life, I'm not asking you back. Ben says it's tiresome to help others that don't give back. It is. They may not be yours to carry anymore, Ben. Yeah, if you don't ask me how I'm doing, if people say to me, hi, I say, hey. And if that's where the conversation ends, that's where the conversation ends. I'm no longer doing that emotional labor in my life because a lot of you, not you in the room, a lot of people generally want you to carry their emotional burdens. And Ben's right. That does get tiresome. Or carrying the conversation. I'm a great conversationalist. I'm a great person to engage in conversation with. If we ever go out to lunch or dinner, I'm amazing to sit across at the table and to have dinner or lunch with or brunch with. But I'm no longer carrying the entire conversation for people. Sometimes being the strong one isn't a gift. Sometimes being the strong one is a survival strategy. Put a 3 in the chat if you have used being the strong one as a survival strategy. Put a 3 in the chat if you've used being the strong one as a survival strategy. Put a 4 in the chat if you had to be the strong one for your parents. Ooh. Trey says 3 and 4. Nikki says 3 and 4. He says 3, 4. Yeah, that's wild when we become the live-in therapist or the live-in emotional regulators for our parents. I spent a lot of my childhood regulating my mom's emotions because my father was the big bad wolf type. My father would come into the house from work and start yelling and screaming and knocking things around. And it was just like, everybody's like just quaking. And I spent a lot of time in my childhood being the mediator and the peacemaker. Mr. Rob says being the strong one for me has meant having to endure things others could not. Being the strong one for me has meant having to endure things others could not. If you're still in the space, because sometimes people swipe away and they go back into the great beyond, that's the internet. I would love to hear more from you, Mr. Rob, about what are the things? Tell me about the things. You said you had to endure things that others could not. What are some of the things that you had to endure that others could not? I'd be curious. When you say BS, what are you talking to? That could be a lot of things. if you care to share. If not, that's okay as well. Anybody else with Mr. Rob having to endure things that others could not endure? Mr. Rob says, for instance, my mother wound. I just had a friend delete himself yesterday. Are you seeing delete from the planet? Like self-delete? I had a friend named Harlan. Harlan self-deleted. Nikki says, I feel like a lot of things are because I feel obligated. Yeah. My heart is with you, Mr. Rob. May that person's memory be a blessing. And also, we don't talk enough about it. And certainly I can't talk about it in great detail on TikTok because TikTok is the police. But I will let you know that every 11 minutes, someone in our country does that. And it is so sad. That is a dark passenger that I have carried. And sometimes people allow the dark passenger to drive them right over the edge. And part of People Pleasers Anonymous and the work that we do here is to put people in the driver's seats of their emotions so that they don't feel that their emotions are running the show. People that often take that path are powerless, or they feel powerless over their emotions. Yeah. If you felt powerful over your situation and your circumstance in your life, and you felt powerful over your emotions, perhaps you wouldn't go that route. But as a person who dealt with that for 20 years, it's often feeling powerless over your emotions, and that takes you to the quote unquote breaking point. All right. Next question for discussion is, when did you learn that you had to be strong? When did you learn that you had to be strong? And where did you learn that you had to be strong? Once again, for you all coming into the room, I'm Dr. Flo. I'm an online guide and counselor and peer support specialist for bold dreamers online and in real life. I run this room called People Pleasers Anonymous live every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to help us heal from our people-pleasing parts and to restore us to honoring ourselves and loving ourselves more deeply and profoundly daily. Nikki says, when others never came through when I needed them or I was begging for help. Tara says, school, sports, leeching friendships. Ooh, those energy vampire friendships. Ooh. Put a 2 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about when I say energy vampire. Did you learn to be strong in your childhood? Did you learn to be that you had to be strong in your church? I see you, Nikki. I see you, Tara. Did you learn in your family, your work, or your relationships? I was 19 when I told my family I wasn't doing emotional labor anymore. Ooh, that's early. Good for you. It took me way longer than that. Mr. Rob knows all about energy vampires. Adolescence into adulthood. E says, from needs not being met in childhood, I feel like it was my responsibility to take care of me. Yeah, what a heavy thing to carry. It's like your caretakers are standing right there, but some of them do not want to meet your emotional needs. So then you have to learn how to do it for yourself and how to protect yourself in the world. And some of us are still coming out of that. I got about 33 seconds for more comments. Ovi in Nigeria. What's up, buddy? It's good to see you. Ovi over in Africa says, I deeply understand the energy vampire thing. Been through it. Yeah, they will suck you dry. Good to see you, Ovi. I'm glad you got to make it to one of the Love and Action sessions. You were asking me what do the sessions look like in real life with Love and Action Network because you're a new member here. This is the Tuesday night session over on TikTok. It's good to see you. He's miles away, y'all. It's good to see you. You're so loved and lovable. Yes, that's one of our soul siblings in the motherland. Let's talk now about hidden contracts. We're going to talk about hidden contracts. Many people unknowingly develop this belief. If I stay useful, needed, and strong, I will be loved. Okay? If I stay useful, needed, and strong, I will be loved. I will give you an example of this. When I was working in corporate in New York City, some of the admins and the executive assistants and the marketing assistants would build, how do I say it? They would only partially help the superiors at the firm so that they would be needed. Like they would do enough and give enough to a person in order to be helpful, but they always withheld a bit of the help so that they would always be useful and needed. It's like you don't want to work yourself out of a job. If you do too good of a job, there we go, Nikki. Breadcrumbing. Yeah, if you do too good of a job, they may get rid of you. You could work yourself out of a job. But if you do just under what you're supposed to do, and many times just enough not to get fired, then they would have to still come back to you. There's a whole like pantomime and theater that happens in corporate where I remember my boss would ask me for a file and I'd be like, let me look for that for you. And then I would spend all afternoon knowing exactly where it was, but then I would find it at the last moment and he'd be like, oh my goodness, you saved my bacon. And I'm like, remember that, but I knew where it was the whole time. I just want it to be useful, needed. And a lot of people pleasers make that hidden contract with people. If I stay useful, needed, and strong, I will be loved. A lot of this comes from 4 places. Some of it is performance-based worth. Some of it is being valued for what you do rather than who you are. A lot of people find a lot of value in their title or their jobs. They feel like they're better than you because of what they do professionally. And the hidden contract can also come from being valued for what you do rather than who you are. A lot of people also get their self-esteem from being the dependable one. I used to have a cousin that I lived with. She would always complain about my aunts texting her and calling her at like 2 a.m. And for the greater part of a year, I used to ask her, why do you even answer? Why do you answer your family and your friends that are calling you at 2 a.m, breaking your sleep? You're complaining about it. Why are you doing that? I realized later she had an addiction to being the dependable one. She didn't like it, but she did like it. And there's tons of people who complain about being inconvenienced by their family and friends, but they have a hidden contract. You're the dependable one. It makes you needed. And the last thing you would want is to not be needed or passed over for someone else who could meet the need better than you can. All right? Other people have a fear of disappointing others, a deep, deep fear of disappointing others. Does anybody relate to that? And does anybody want to come up and tell me a story about performance-based worth? Does anybody want to come up? Raise your hand in the chat if you want to come up and tell me a quick 2-minute story or so. I'll watch the screen. If you want to come up and talk about how performance-based worth or being valued for what you do rather than who you are or becoming the dependable one, if anything has come up for you. Nice, Rob. Rob says, I don't want to be useless. I want to be used less. I understand that. And no one's useless. That's not a thing. The question is, how do you want to show up for folks? Any stories about if I stay useful, needed, and strong, I will be loved? If I stay useful, needed, and strong, they'll love me. We're not even going to get into it tonight about how there are people who claim to love us who will knock us down emotionally so that they can build us back up again. We're not even going to get into that. You ever encountered someone who tried to crush your spirit just so they could encourage you later? Or tried to abandon you so you would come running back to them? You'll be nothing without me. I'm your only support. Yep. Oh, yep. You're nothing without me. You're nothing without me. You're not going to be anything without me. My father used to always tell me that blood was thicker than water, meaning that the family was a stronger support system than people that were not family. But then that never worked because throughout my life, I've always gotten more support from strangers than my family. Y'all don't see my family in here tonight. Ovi is in here from Africa. Ovi's tuning in on his phone from Africa. My mama is miles away and she ain't in here. My cousins are up the road. They're not in here. But they will make you believe that being in codependent relationships with them is actually going to help, but that doesn't always work out. Yep, previously family members. That's the thing. And often the support that we need the most is coming from outside of our family unit. Thank you, TikToker. All right, I want y'all to complete this in the chat if you feel able to. Miss Hoodoo, Mississippi Hoodoo, welcome to the space, is saying to the prompt up top, have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? She's saying resented, ? Only when it wasn't reciprocal. Only when it wasn't reciprocal. Y'all fill in this prompt in the chat for the next minute or so. I'm afraid that if I stop being the strong one, what's going to happen if you stop being the strong one? Vivi says, I worked hard to make sure people only ask me for necessities. What was that experience like? I was told that I was rude. People told me, you're a spiritual leader and a spiritual guide. You're supposed to go down in the trenches with people and help them. I was like, why would I want to go down in the trenches? Why do I need to go down in the trenches to help people? Why can't I throw a rope down and pull them out? Why do I have to go down in there? But people will often ask us to go down in the trenches with them in order to help lift them out. I'm not coming down there in that vibration. Exactly. Mississippi Hoodoo, you will appreciate that my partner and I this morning, happy Pride, by the way. You'll appreciate, Miss Hoodoo, that my partner and I this morning were talking about hexes. Before he left for work, we were talking about the power of hexes. Happy Pride, beloved. You're so loved and lovable. Thank you for stopping through tonight. We were talking about hexes. I said, these motherfuckers ain't got no power. If they had power, Miss Hoodoo, they would be able to 10x and 20x and 30x their income. They ain't got no power. You can't hex me. Hex your bank account. Happy Pride, everybody. People will walk around, Miss Hoodoo. Miss Hoodoo, we could do a whole space on it. Send me an email if you want to be on a panel or something. We could do a whole TED talk together or separately about how these people around here running away from people saying, I think she hexed me. I think Susie hexed me. Susie cannot keep a man. She ain't hexing you. Your cousin Bobby is an alcoholic. He can't hex you. He doesn't have power in his own life. People can't hex you. They ain't got no power. I'm never scared of a weak bitch. But let's just move on. Let's just move on. The prompt, y'all, is okay. Send me a message. Send me a message. It's here. Screenshot this. Screenshot this and send me a message. I would love to have a whole panel, and bring your friends so we could talk about these people who are scared of hexes. I wish I would be scared of a person who smells like they don't even use soap. Wash your armpits. Then hex me. In that order. Wash your pits. Anyway, let me scroll up here. I'm so off. TikTokers, just put your own oxygen mask on before helping others. So important. Vivi says, I tell these people that I don't know or don't have the time for that. That is for real. Rob says that if he stops being the strong one, he suddenly won't have as many people in his corner. Yeah, that fear of isolation and abandonment by people. You know, what if they stop showing up for me? What if I can't get that car ride? What if what if they don't help me get back in my apartment? Like, there's so many practical reasons why you may feel that people won't be in your corner. Maybe they'll leave. Maybe they'll fall apart. Yes, put the deodorant on. Put your oxygen mask on first and put your deodorant on first, Ben, before trying to clown me. We won't even get into my first TikTok a day. I'm here on TikTok 2 or 3 times a day, every day doing the work of love and doing my soul assignment and my soul contract work, because my work on TikTok is my soul contract work. It has nothing to do with you all, although I'm happy that you all benefit from it, but I'm here because of my personal soul contracts. And this morning someone came in and was trying to lead me to Jesus and tell me to return back to God and things. I'm like, you have an ashy spirit. Go and learn how to be kind to people and then try to convince them that Jesus can save them. It is wild out here that people think that being an asshole is going to lead people to the Lord. You are a horrible representative of the teachings. Oh yeah, I have a soul contract. Yeah. Child, I make 4 cents per live on TikTok. It is definitely a soul contract and a real one. It's definitely a soul contract, child. I make 4 cents per live. It is definitely about the soul. You hear me? Miss Hoodoo says if people truly support you, they'll be okay with your no. If not, they'll be exposed and can be released, or they've been exposed and can be released. Yeah. We talked about this last week as well in the session. Beyonce, the prophetess Beyonce said, the first time I said no, it's like I never said yes. Pay attention to people when you tell them no. If they start acting out or acting strange when you say no, you can't text me here. You can't do this. I will not be coming to your party. I will not be coming to your event. I will not be answering you immediately anymore. The first time I said no, it's like I never said yes. Oh yeah, 4 cents. I could definitely pay a utilities bill with that, Rob. Good to see you, Nikki. Welcome to the Soul Family. Love and Action Network. Lovedandlovable.org. Send me a message if you'd like. Oh, Rob, we could do a whole session on this. We could do a whole session on fear of abandonment. You're in the right spot and in the right community. I talk a lot on TikTok, daily even, about that fear of abandonment and how it's reared its head in my life. It's important to understand, or to come into an understanding, Mr. Rob, that you'll be okay even if everybody abandons you in your life, if you do not abandon yourself. People who are squarely squared up, squarely squared up, people who are anchored and grounded in their own corner, and they are self-honoring themselves, and they find themselves to be loved and lovable, we can never be abandoned. We can never be abandoned. And that's important to recognize. It's important to recognize that you can never be abandoned if you don't abandon yourself. Okay? I'll find that comment one more time. I don't mind the jokes. I probably can't say them because TikTok is the police, but you can meet me in a private session sometimes and whisper in my ear if you want to. But yeah, fear of abandonment is a big deal. It's a big deal. There's a reason for this. There's a reason for this that lives in our primal mind. Back in the days of the saber-toothed tigers and the woolly mammoths, if you were separated from your community, or if you were pushed out as an outcast from the community, you would lose protection. A predator could come and eat you. And so somewhere in our deep brain chemistry and in our human evolution, we have created this fear of abandonment, as if the saber-toothed tiger and the woolly mammoth is going to come to stomp us out if people leave us. We no longer live in a world where abandonment means the end of us. But our brains sometimes feel that way because of our human lineage. Put a 1 in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Okay. Nikki gets it. Miss Hoodoo gets it. Yeah. So sometimes your early human, anthropological, early human part of your brain, remember, you have your great grandmother's nose on your face. So are you feeling the fear of being abandonment, or are you feeling your ancestors' fear through this thing called epigenetics? Oh, we're here tonight. I gotta go, y'all. I said just an hour. Look up epigenetics. Tracy, if you don't know, I can't help you. If you don't know, I can't help you. Okay? Let's talk now about the emotional cost. The emotional cost of resentment. People pleasers often say, I love helping people. People pleasers will say, I love helping people. But underneath that, there's this exhaustion. I'm exhausted. It is. It is. And we have to disrupt it, Miss Nikki. Miss Nikki, we have to disrupt it. We have to disrupt it. I'm not running from a slave catcher. My peoples might have, but I'm not running from a slave catcher today. So I have to really ask myself, am I safe? Am I safe? Are you safe, Nikki? I have to really sometimes get myself together. I'm not living in the conditions of my ancestral past or even my past. I'm the safest I've ever been in this life. I'm getting safer all the time. But if you've got that panic and paranoia alive in your awareness, it will take you down a crazy path. Am I in fear? Or am I being informed right now by my dad's fears? Is this something that's bothering me? Or is it bothering a part of me that's in my deep, deep, deep subconscious mind because of the fear and trauma in my DNA? And people who've gone through great suffering in their lineage have to deal with this. Yeah. We also are people who are on TikTok, and TikTok is a fear machine. There's a propaganda of fear and unworthiness here. The reason why I platform here is because I want to be the light in the darkness, the yin and the yang and the yin. And Nikki, once you realize that the political climate is theater and it's theatrical, right? Politics, those people are great thespians. And once you start seeing the political landscape as theater and the news as theater, I'll tell y'all one thing. I have friends who work in national news. I have friends who you would see on TV. All of the news anchors on television are part of the Screen Actors Guild. All of my friends who work in network television are part of the Actors Union. I have friends who I went to school with who are on national television, and they have their SAG cards. Look it up. Look it up. They are paid actors. They're storytellers. So if you have fear of the political climate, you are believing the theatrics. Take a step back. You're safer than you think. And people who are in fear and paranoia and panic, they're very easy to manipulate. People who are scared are the easiest to manipulate. I gotta move on. So people pleasers often say, I love helping people, but underneath it all, there's this feeling of I'm exhausted. And resentment grows when giving becomes expected, support is one-sided, nobody notices your sacrifices, or you never receive the same energy back. Ms. Hoodoo, the reason why it is legitimately 525 is because a fear-based people are not going to stand up to their politicians. You probably are telling me that the gas is 529 today, but have you contacted your senator? Have you used 5 calls and sent an automated messenger to somebody who can do something about it? The fear makes you complain, but never really reach out to the people who can actually change it for you. That's why they want you fearful too, because you'll tell your friends, you'll tell your new friend Flo all about how the gas is 5.29, but you won't actually reach beyond that fear because you're too exhausted from the fear itself. Great. Great. Now you have to spread that message. You have to get 5 friends to do it. Next question for the chat. Have you ever felt angry at people who never asked you to carry everything? My husband's from Illinois. My husband's from Illinois. From a place called Decatur. Decatur, Illinois, if you know where that is. This question brings up for me, have you ever felt angry at people who never actually asked you to carry everything? Have you ever had a person, you tell them like, yo, I did this, and this for you. And they say, I never asked you for that. That's the craziest thing. You'd be like, yo, can I get that $25 back that I loaned you? This happens on Judge Judy all the time. This happens on Judge Judy all the time. Yo, can I get back that $25 that I loaned you? That was a gift. I never asked you for that. You just gave it to me. Rob says, my son's mother. Oh, you got baby mama drama. My brothers have baby mama drama. One of them, the baby mama is cool. And the other one, the baby mama drags him by his nuts all over town. Drags him by his nuts. North side, south side, east and west. Have you ever felt angry at people who never actually asked you to carry everything? Here's a powerful realization tonight, and something to be mindful of. Sometimes we volunteer for roles that nobody assigned us. Sometimes we find ourselves volunteering for roles that nobody assigned us. Okay? Rob says we don't talk enough about how important it is to choose wisely who you procreate with. Listen, I think it is nuts, Rob. I think it is nuts that people need a license to drive a car, but they need no training at all to procreate. I think that will always, as a person who never wants kids, I'm never having kids in my life. I have a lot of spiritual kids and a lot of spiritual students, and I mentor a lot of people professionally every week. My goal this year is to mentor and to coach and to help 365 people concurrently. So those people and their dreams will be my children. But it's wild to me that you need to actually take a test and get some training to drive a car. But to have children and to raise children, you just have to just put it down. It's wild to me. No credentials, just don't fuck it up. Natural Nap says, yes, at the time I had low self-worth, so I gave more than I got. Once again, that goes back to the notes a few minutes ago when we were talking about if I stay useful, needed, and strong, I will be loved. You don't have to be good at it, Rob. You don't have to be good at it. I still have nightmares of ladies, and I'm a gay these days. I'm not sure if you picked that up or not. It doesn't really fucking matter because we're not sleeping together. But I'm a gay these days, and I still have like nightmares of somebody knocking on my door saying, "This is your son, Tony." You know, it's like you can literally stick it in someone one time, and be sentenced to a life of interesting circumstances. This one time is all it takes to procreate. Hi, Sway. You're loved and lovable. All right, y'all. I'm a little over time because the conversation got juicy tonight, and I met a bunch of new friends on TikTok who want to participate in this pathway towards healing from being a people pleaser and uplifting one another as a spiritual online and recovery community. And so I'm grateful for everyone that I have met. I'm going to give shout outs to Ben, Tara Parola Studio, E59 Nikki, Mr. Rob, Miss Hoodoo, Sway, Natural Naps, you gotta love a natural nap, boo-boo. Avi in Nigeria. Princess Ignore, I love ignoring people. User 970-943-668514. Alki Mystique and Renee. Thank y'all so much for hanging out. We're coming to the end of this. Let's talk now about what healthy strength looks like. Okay, so I'm Dr. Flo. Not telling you what I heard, but what I know. What I know is that you're loved and lovable. You've always been loved and lovable, and you're going to be loved and lovable for the rest of your days. And I have a policy in my programs and in my shares that I don't leave you on red emotionally in these spaces. I would never come in and talk about people pleasing and its harmful effects and what it's done to our lives and not leave you with something positive to take with you. And the people who don't stick around to the end or this portion, they would probably leave with the assumption that it's just trauma dumping and we're just sharing our problems and that's just another complaining space and these people are just commiserating around their bullshit from their past. I would never, ever leave you without tools and something empowering. Okay? It's just one of my personal philosophies and under my code of ethics. You don't let people leave you more wounded than how you found them. Okay? So I want to talk to you for the next few minutes about healthy strength. If you are a person who is recovering from people pleasing like me, or if you're a person who struggled with people pleasing throughout your life, I want to just talk about what healthy strength looks like. Okay? Yeah, we like you gotta leave a silver lining there, Mr. Rob, because it's not all dark clouds and it's not all sad all the time. There's a blessing in every storm because the plants need the rain to grow, right? There are people who go, "Oh, it's a rainy day. How awful." I'm like, tell that to the crops. Tell that to the trees. Tell that to the flowers. The flowers are waiting for a rainy day. You just don't want to get your shoes wet. All right? Healthy strength says, I can help without rescuing. I can love people without fixing them. That's my husband. That's my husband. Healthy strength says, I can help without rescuing. Healthy strength says, I can love people without fixing them. Healthy strength says, I can support people without abandoning myself. Healthy strength says, I can have limits. Type that in the chat. I can have limits. Here's another one to type in the chat. I can say no. I can say no. I can have limits. I can say no. I can rest. I can rest. I can receive help too. I'm going to say these one more time so that they go into the soil of your heart and the soil of your life. These are so important, and people who are in the room now and people who will listen back to it later on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and YouTube and Substack and beyond, these are good seeds going into good soil in your good heart. I can help without rescuing. I can love people without fixing them. I can support people without abandoning myself. We talked earlier with Mr. Rob about how we can't be abandoned if we don't abandon ourselves. I can support people without abandoning myself. I can have limits. I can say no. I can rest. I can receive help too. Now, here is the bing question of the night. Given those affirmations and what I shared, what would change in your life if you believed those statements? If you believed I can help without rescuing, I can support people without abandoning myself, I can say no, I can receive help too. What would change in your life if you believed those statements? Thank y'all for coming. We got 16 people in the room. 197 people came into the space. 17 people have tapped into the network and have followed me tonight. I hope they know that they're following love. I don't do nothing but cook breakfast and dinner and host sessions for empowerment and freedom. Rob says everything. Nikki says, I'd have more time to focus on me, relationships, finances. Avi sending love from Nigeria. What would change in your life if you believed those statements deeply? I can help without rescuing. I can have limits. I can say no. I can rest. I can receive help too. Yes, 17 newbies tonight, Dr. Tara. Tara. 17 new followers tonight. Dr. Praolo is welcoming the newbies. We are here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday intentionally doing recovery programs and uplifting people. If you would like me to text message you first to tell you that we're in the space, and if you would like digital reminders in your text messages to show up, we can send those to you. Just DM me here on the platform and I will send you to the ticketing platform so that you can get reminders that we are having sessions. And TikTok sometimes lets people know that I'm around, but I am a light worker here. And so sometimes they try to suppress the love, but we're getting better about it. And Douglas, y'all, is paying $5,000 to the first 5 people who message him, God did. Only God can do it. Only God can do it. Do it. Y'all better message that man, God did. And then let me know what God does. Balu Taylor is saying less stress and worries if we took in that healthy strength. Somebody messaged Douglas, don't let him steal your identity. Don't click no links. Don't click no links because I don't know what God did, but I do know that they will find you later. That's my partner at Poppy Water back there, y'all. The CEO and founder of the House of Mommy Wata. All right. Here is another one. What would happen if you let someone else be strong for you? What would happen if you let someone else be strong for you? What would happen if you let someone else be strong for you? I don't follow the Orishas as much as Poppy Wata does. Did you pick up on that in his name? Nikki, you would love him. You would adore him, and so would Mississippi Hoodoo. Yeah, you gotta go to his lives whenever he starts doing them again. You would love him. Poppy Wata, the House of Mommy Wata. Poppy Water 30. I'm gonna give you the at mention for him. Poppy Wata. Mississippi Hoodoo and you and Poppy Water would probably get along. That's him, and he deals with all of that. I just get in the car and enjoy the ride. I'm sure that there are many loved and lovable Orisha who walk with me and guide my path, but I try to stay in my lane. You know, what would happen if you let someone else be strong for you? Not someday, but this week. Okay? What would happen if you let someone else be strong for you? And not in the future someday, but this week. Baloo Taylor says, are you a codependent? Are you a person that's healing from codependency? I have some wonderful resources that I could recommend for you if you're a codependent person. I love that. Rob says, if I'm going to wear a cape, I want to save myself. I know that's right. All right. We always run over in these spaces when we have a good exchange. I'm going to be watching some zombies on television tonight, so this is a great way to merge into my zombies. Okay, so what support do you actually need right now? What support do you actually need right now? It seems like Sway needs the yard done. Community support, yeah. Sway said, just told my son either do the yard or pay rent. I would be out there right now clipping every hedge. If I had to choose between paying the rent or doing the yard, I promise you, you see those little, you know those little lines? I don't know how old he is, but I don't know how old he is, but you would see those little lines that you see on the baseball field. You'd have a perfectly manicured line. He's 19. That's a great deal. That's a great deal. Yeah. I promise you.
Like if you just do the yard, I won't bother you. And they bother us.
Nikki is right now needing emotional support. Love and Action Network is here for you twice a day on TikTok and beyond for that emotional support. I cannot wait to show you, Nikki, the emotional guidance scale. Have you ever heard of the emotional guidance scale? I cannot wait to share that with you. Oh, codependency can happen in all kinds of relationships, Tara, for sure. I can't wait to share that with you, the emotional guidance scale. We do a lot of that work here in Love and Action Network as well. We've been working with the emotional guidance scale for the last 5 years or so. Yes. Yes. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Ask, believe, receive. Sway says, I need help around the house and emotional community connection and support. I cannot help you around the house because you're in Texas and I'm in Georgia, but the emotional community connection and support, I got you on that. And you got somebody who's going to do the yard. Baloo is looking for grief and trauma therapy. I do that as well. Baloo, look into the work of Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross and the stages of grief. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. Anybody else wants to lift up what support you actually need right now? Yeah, I would love to send you all the resources and tools I have. Baloo, also look up the work of Louise Hay. Louise Hay, and this wonderful book called You Can Heal Your Life. It can really help with the grief and the trauma. And like I said, I'm here every day, 2 to 3 times a day, and I hold space for the heavy things. Because life, we're all carrying heavy things, and lifting those things together often helps. Tell me more, Hyperbole 777, about the Black Sun and the Art of Darkness. The Black Sun, the Alchemy and Art of Darkness. It's a Jungian analysis of the Black Sun, a symbol for creative potential of darkness, depression, and unconscious exploring through. You know I love me some Jung. You know I love me some Jung. You know I love me some Jung. The Black Sun, the Alchemy and the Art of Darkness. I love me some Jung. Modern psychology is seeing darkness primarily as a negative force, something to move through and beyond, but it actually has its intrinsic importance to the human psyche. In this book, Jungian analyst Stanton Marlin re-examines the paradoxical image of the Black Sun and the meaning of darkness in Western culture. In the image of the Black Sun, Marlin finds the hint of the darkness that shines. He draws upon his clinical experiences and on a wide range of literature and art, including Goethe's Faust, Dante's Inferno, and the Black Art of Rothko and Reinhardt, to explore the influence of light and shadow on the fundamental structures of modern thought, as well as the contemporary practice of analysis. He shows that the Black Sun accompanies not only the most negative of psychic experiences, but also the most sublime, resonating with the mystical experience of negative theology, the Kabbalah, the Buddhist notions of the void, and the black light of the Sufi mystics. I'm going to love this. I'm going to love this. I'm going to love this. Y'all, we are over time. We love shadow work here. We are shadow workers. Yes, we are. You got to look your dragon in the face, bitch. You got to look your dragon in the face. Tonight we learned that strength is not the same thing as self-sacrifice. Many of us became strong because we had to, but recovery invites us to become whole. You do not have to earn love by carrying everyone. You do not have to prove your worth through exhaustion. You do not have to be indispensable to deserve belonging, and you're allowed to need support too. All right, before everybody goes, and thank y'all for hanging on. These are supposed to be hour-long sessions, but when y'all come in here talking all of this good juicy to me and participating, it gets to be a bit crazy. My team is like, you need to keep them to 45 minutes to an hour. Like, why do they go so long? I'm like, yo, like we're vibing here. We're healing things. Like, this is what it's all about. So we went a little over tonight, but drop in the chat, what's one thing you're going to stop carrying this week? If I could unburden you in one way, and if there's something you want to leave on the altar of flow, I ain't picking it up though. I ain't picking it up. If you dropping it off, I'm not picking that shit up. But what do you want to stop carrying this week? And hyperbole, I love a quantum leap. Baloo says pain and hurt from the past. Yes. Yes. Ooh. I felt that one. I felt that one. You are safe to let it go, beloved. Nikki says the need to fix things. Z says feeling responsible for the success of adult family members. Yeah. Surrender. Woo! Excuse me. I felt the wave. Yes. Surrender it. The pain and the hurt from the past, the need to fix things. Surrender it. Being picked on as a child. Me too, Jimmy. We can surrender that now. Feeling responsible for the success of adult family members. We can surrender that now. We can surrender that now. You're safe to surrender that now. You are safe to surrender that now. You are safe to surrender that now. We are safe to surrender this now. I'm safe to surrender this now. Woo! I am safe to surrender this now. 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 Ooh. Repeat together. I release the belief that my value comes from how much I carry. I see you, Joshua. Joshua says, trying to be liked and loved by others. You are safe to surrender that now. 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 Trying to be liked and loved by others, picked on as a child, you are safe to surrender that now. You're safe. You are safe to surrender that now. I release the belief that my value comes from how much I carry. I'm worthy of support. I'm worthy of rest. I'm worthy of care. I do not have to earn my place. I belong even when I put the burden down. One day at a time. I'm loved and lovable, and I will keep coming back. I'm loved and lovable, and I will keep coming back. Y'all, this has been a thrill to share with you all tonight for the last hour and a half. Last week, we talked about what people pleasing is really. We asked the question, is people pleasing kindness, or is it manipulation disguised as kindness? This week, we talked about the cost of being the strong one. And we asked the question, have you ever secretly resented people for relying on you so much? We can cross that off our list. And next week, we're going to talk about why boundaries feel mean. So come back next week, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going to talk about why boundaries feel mean. And the question next week is going to be, why do so many good people feel guilty when they say no? Yeah, it's on Spotify. They're all on Spotify. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Substack, you name it. We're out there. You're loved and lovable, Chief. So yeah, next week we're going to be talking about why boundaries feel mean and having those conversations. You all are amazing. Go to the website if you want to tap in. Our membership is free here. We'll send you messages to keep you in loop as often as you want to be. I'm Dr. Flo, always reminding you to stay in your power, to stay in your joy, and to stay loved and lovable.